Now we're going to put demand and supply together so that we get the equilibrium position, and we're going to see what happens when demand and supply change and what happens specifically to the equilibrium position. So I've got another funny cartoon here that it's not demand or supply, it's demand and supply, or supply and demand as it says there. So it looks like a lot, but we'll get through this quite quickly. So key terms now: equilibrium is where the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied. It can also be known as the place where there is no excess demand or excess supply, and we'll go into what those two terms mean in a second. And at the equilibrium, there's no pressure on the price to change. This is also known as the market clearing price. This is the price at which quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. And at this point, there's no pressure on the price to change, as I've just said. But at this point, when you're looking at it from the market clearing price, it should mean that all the products supplied have also been demanded and purchased at that point. Let's draw an equilibrium diagram. So this is, I'll just get my pen tool out if I can locate it. Finding it hard. So this is really important for your diagram. Here we go, I found it now. For diagram questions in the AS paper, which are worth 4 marks. And all I say to my students, I say, you know what, if you really don't know what's going to happen, make sure you just set up your diagram and label it. So price up the vertical axes, quantity along the horizontal axes, demand slopes downwards, we know that, we've done that presentation, supply slopes upwards, like that. And then I'm going to change colour just so you can see it really clearly, but you don't need to change colour in the exam. Where they meet, that is the equilibrium, and it's very, very important that you're labelling that point 1 and P1 there. So that's our equilibrium, that's our market clearing price. There's no excess demand or excess supply at that position. Disequilibrium is where quantity demanded does not equal the quantity supplied for some reason. It could be because of excess demand, it could be because of excess supply. So let's have a look at what excess demand and excess supply mean. So excess demand is where the quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied. And this is where we can also know of this place, or we also know that this happens when the price set is too low. So I'm going to draw 2 diagrams now, really just quite quickly, set these up here and show you how this can happen. So if we have demand here and supply, and we see that we've got I'm just going to draw these lines really quickly rather than, they should really be dotted lines, but I'm just going to draw them like that so it's a bit quicker. So if we increase demand, what we're going to get in the short run is a disequilibrium. Because if we increase demand to that point, we're going to find that the quantity supplied is there and the quantity demanded is at that point. Okay. Now we do know eventually price is going to adjust and this will be the new equilibrium. But in the short run, we get this position here where we get excess demand. That's the amount of excess demand. This I've just shown you is caused by demand increasing, but it can also be caused by supply decreasing. So if we see supply there, and this being the equilibrium price, QP, trying to draw this as quickly as possible for you. If we see supply decreasing, we also see, if the price stays the same, we also see excess demand, because this is the quantity demanded here and this is quantity supplied. Now, although the causes for each of these are different, we can see at the bottom, I'll change my colour so I can highlight this for you. At the bottom, we can see the quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied. So it's very clearly showing this on our diagram. I'm just going to draw a very quick diagram basically so we don't have too many lines, but we can show excess demand on a diagram just by setting the price below the equilibrium there. So this is a bit of a simpler diagram. It's the same as the other 2 diagrams, but it's simpler to show, and we can see the quantity supplied and this is the quantity demanded. We can see that quantity demanded exceeds quantity supplied. There. Okay, so other side of it is excess supply, and this is where the quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded, and this is where the price is set too high. So on these diagrams, this is caused by supply increasing, as we're going to see here. So this would be the original equilibrium price and quantity, and if supply increases and the price stays the same, we get that quantity, just label this one, we get that quantity supplied, but at that price, actually the quantity demanded is still there. So we get there are excess, I'm not so good at drawing, excess supply, and that's one cause for it, but also we might have demand shifting inwards, and this one would be the other cause for it. So demand shifting inwards like that. The original equilibrium would have been here, and that's going to remain as the quantity supplied, but actually when demand shifted inwards, that's the new, at that price at least, that is the new quantity demanded. So again, we've got this excess supply happening there. If I just simplify the diagram a little bit for you, it is just purely when the price is set above the equilibrium level. So here we go. I'll label this one up fully here. It's always good practice to label all your diagrams fully, even if they're just in note form, even if nobody else is going to see them. It just gets you into really good habits. So I always make sure that I try and label everything in my diagram. Less likely to make mistakes in exams that way. There we go. So we've got excess supply. There we go. And that's the amount, okay? And that would look like a lot of stock left on the shelves. So it's not really the market clearing price. These products aren't clearing from the market. So just linking this back to the basic economic problem of, or sometimes called the fundamental economic problem, we have scarce resources, we have unlimited ones, we have to make choices, what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, okay? And demand and supply is going to solve that problem for us, because markets are going to decide using price, and if the market is ever in disequilibrium, the rationing, the signalling, and the incentive function are going to get it back to equilibrium. Okay, so it's going to be decided by markets. Demand, the interaction of demand and supply are going to decide all of those three things there. And if it's in disequilibrium, we're going to find that the market sorts that situation out. So whereas before I had excess supply and excess demand, we're going to see that actually the market is going to help us get back to equilibrium, and we're not going to have that situation. So we have to go over how that actually works. So the functions of price has three functions. It's got the signaling function, which means that price is signaled to consumers and producers, and they can signal a few things. We've got the rationing function, so this is signaling usually to consumers, and it means that when prices increase, consumers will ration or limit their demand, as higher prices mean that products are less affordable, so the income effect, or less attractive compared to other products, because there's always usually substitutes on the market, and that's the substitute effect. And then we have the incentive function, because we know that producers, their main goal is profit, so higher prices increase the incentive for them to produce. So we're going to have these three functions, and they don't mean very much on their own, but let me take you through a diagram and I'll show you what's happening. So here we have excess demand, price set too low, and we're going to see we're in disequilibrium. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm doing that as I'm colouring in supply. Supply does not equal demand. There we go, so excess demand there. Okay, so what happens to get it to equilibrium? We know that we've got to get to this point here. Okay, so what's going to happen? Well, there's going to be a signal. Excess demand is the situation we start off off at, and this is going to cause a signal. This is going to put upwards pressure on prices, which signals to suppliers that they've undersupplied the market, and so there's an incentive to supply more as they can make more profit from the higher price. So this is going to cause a movement along the supply curve, and it also to consumers, this sends a signal to ration and cut back on their spending, and this is also going to cause a movement along the demand curve, and therefore the price and the quantity move towards equilibrium. Now if I just go back to this diagram, this is the incentive function working, and then this is the rationing function working to get you back to this point. And we can also, so that's how we get to equilibrium in the long run, and we can also look at it from the other way around, which is excess supply in this market. So the price is set too high, we've got this amount being supplied to the market and this amount being demanded by the market. So we start off with excess supply, meaning there's disequilibrium. Now this is going to put downwards pressure on prices, which signals to suppliers that they've oversupplied the market, and in this time they're going to ration their resources. So you know, there might be other things that they could put these factors of production into that is going to make them more profit. So they're going to this is going to cause a movement along the supply curve, and it also creates a little bit of an incentive to consumers as well, this downwards pressure on prices, to increase their spending on the product, because maybe they, you know, it becomes more affordable to them and they're going to switch from consuming substitute products. So we see that the price and the quantity move towards equilibrium, and I'll just show that there. We've got consumers, maybe there's an incentive for them to consume more, and we've got the supply maybe rationing some of their resources because it's not as profitable as it used to be being in that market. Okay, so those are all the specification objectives for equilibrium, and the other section that I'm going to look at in another video, not in this one, is looking at the connection between different markets.